So let's dig into this. We're going to talk about a couple statistics here that is just kind of eye-opening for podcasts, and it also really applies to anyone building anything creative. Found this out before we started this, but I was always in the back of my mind remembering this. 90% of podcasts don't get past episode 3. Okay.
That's wild.
3 episodes.
Yeah.
That's 1.8 million who quit. This post was from 3 years ago. So just imagine there's more podcasts now. So this statistic is probably even more stark. Of the podcasts that are left, 90% will quit after 20 episodes. That's another 180,000 podcasts that vanish. To be in the top 1% of podcasts, you only need to publish 21 episodes of your podcast.
There you go, guys.
Your competition is not the 2 million podcasts. It's the 20,000 podcasters who didn't quit. Obviously, we're not doing this to pat ourselves on the back, but this is a time to, like we have talked about in past episodes, celebrate the small victories. By the way, a lot of podcasters probably don't even know this quote or don't know the statistic.
No, and I think it's a testament to sort of the shared ethos or the shared sort of goal that both of us got into this podcast for the same reasons, and that was to get free stuff. And you know what? We have not got nearly enough free stuff yet. It hasn't felt like a ton of work to me, to be honest. Like, now I know, to be fair, you do the lion's share of the work involved in this podcast. You can edit the podcast, just in case you don't like the edit. It's him. It's not me. I kind of just show up and talk, which is lovely.
Do a lot of people underestimate how important it is just to show up?
Sure.
Because it gets a little murky when we talk about actors, right? Because we can easily say, what is that benchmark for actors? It was a blessing to have this quote for you and I to start building this. I was like, let's just get to 21 episodes. What does showing up for an actor mean? It means I'm going to still submit myself on Actors Access. I'm going to try to get an agent. Are you going to stay in class? Yeah, we're going to bring up this metaphor again, but we're talking about the marathon and not the sprint. Cillian Murphy, around the time when he was doing Oppenheimer, he said it took me 20 years to build a career. The real hard work that's not sexy is consistency. And no one is applauding you when it's happening. But in hindsight, consistency looks great. But it's never celebrated when you're actually in it doing it.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Like the 20-year thing, and I can totally identify with that. What does showing up mean? It probably depends on why you're doing it as well. You know what I mean? Or your experience of it. Like, if you're showing up all the time and you're not happy, if you're showing up and you're going to class and you're doing all the things that we're talking about, but you're just not happy and you're just miserable in it, it's probably not worth showing up for. You know what I mean? I think the only reason I've been able to stay in it is because I really enjoy it, and it's kind of I'm sort of obsessed with it. You know what I mean? And
well, Rian, you might be a bad example because you love it too much.
I haven't always shown up in the same way. You know what I mean? There are times and periods in my life where I wasn't doing the amount of work that I do right now. So showing up is kind of, there's gradients of that too.
For actors, so much of our world is so not concrete. And I think that's why it's nice to have this podcast statistic as a parallel. I was goofing around on YouTube before we started this podcast. There are some things that I was lucky enough to learn. Subscribers and views are vanity metrics.
Subscribers and views are vanity metrics. That's interesting.
So this subscribers on YouTube is essentially the same thing as followers on Instagram. So now we're going to talk about growth. Now we're going to talk about metrics as far as how do you know that you're growing? We won't get into the weeds about this stuff, but this is a good parallel for those as an actor. It doesn't matter how many people are subscribed to you. Mm-hmm. The important part is it's going to take you a long while or many episodes to figure out what the F you're even talking about. You have so many other things to worry about. Do not worry about the vanity metrics.
Interesting.
And as an actor, you might be worried about followers and how come no one's following me and blah, blah, blah. Well, first off, Maybe focus on your career, getting really good. Denzel Washington says the best marketing is being really good.
Where does the money come into it though? That's
Yeah, that's where Rhea was. The way that the money is calculated is you need to hit a threshold of subscribers to get monetized.
Okay.
And you get paid depending on how long people are watching.
Oh, so it's not. So yeah, okay. So it really means something.
It does mean something. So if you have something that was super clickbaity and you had a bajillion people followed it and watched you, and your video was 5 seconds about some kid tripping on the sidewalk, you were only getting paid for that watch duration, and your video was super short and clickbaity.
Oh.
This is the game. They don't know if they want to subscribe yet. They don't know if they like you. Maybe you said something that they might want to watch for 5 minutes. And you have to realize that's really good. This is a great segue because we're going to get into this. The question is what is your brand and what are you selling? And that also goes back to in our acting world. I can compare myself to a 6-foot blonde swimsuit model. I could do that all day.
You often do.
But then at what point? But Rhea, that's private. What I do in my private time is just between us. And this is actually, a couple of these tidbits actually came from the podcasting Reddit. How long did it take you to get to 1,000 downloads in an episode in the first 7 days? This is not meant to be super inside baseball, but there's a point to this. And someone put a great response. You cannot compare listens with another podcast unless the two podcasts in question are in the same listening space. True crime or comedy podcasts have a much higher ceiling in terms of potential listens. Yet, one targeted at woodworkers who exclusively builds wash basins has a completely different potential listen. Some shows will never get to 1,000 listens in the first week, but can be considered quite successful nonetheless. The answer you're looking for is not going to help you. So the answer you seek is not this path. You see how important niche branding it is. It's so much harder as an actor, to be honest, because we go to an audition, we see 15 people just like us, if not 25 people.
What are you going to do with these metrics and analytics to tell you if you're growing? Do you count the number of auditions? This is why it's so sometimes harmful to compare yourself to other actors. You can go on Threads or you can go on Instagram and hear other actors having so many auditions. What kind of auditions are they? Are they non-union? Are they commercial? Are they stage? Are they TV? Are they film? You don't know. So what good does it do you? They could be in a different city. And what if the industry is just so slow that your lack of auditions has nothing to do with you? It's just the fact that the industry is slow. This is the problem with most of these metrics and analytics that we use to compare ourselves to other actors. So what if the metric is Cillian Murphy, it took me 20, 30 years to build a career? What if that's the metric?
Podcasts as well is kind of a social thing too, because I find that people are willing to recommend good podcasts to you as well. They're like, oh, you got to check out this podcast. It's a very kind of it's like books kind of, but it's like, more sharey. Like, oh, you should listen to The Actor's Guide to the End of the World rather than The Actor's Guide to Italian Restaurants. You know what I mean? Like, people will recommend.
That's a great point.
So now, announcing our offshoot, The Actor's Guide to Different Things.
This out there. That's actually a great segue. We've had conversations every so often. Let's just talk about the difference between podcasts and other social media. Mm-hmm. You brought up a great point. It's like sharing a book. I've heard a couple smart people on social media and podcasters say this. One podcast subscriber, according to someone else, is worth 1,000 Instagram followers, is worth 1,000 TikTok followers. You watch TikTok and you watch Instagram, you watch a 30-second video, you get some information. Often, you forget who you just watched. You're watching it for a click hit of information, and you have no connection to who they are. You're not like, oh my God, I love this TikTok person, blah, blah, blah. It's gone in the algorithm. Yeah. You're already watching another video. You don't even remember what you just watched. This is a weird form where our episodes are getting to around 30 minutes now.
Yeah.
You come by, you stop by, you have a good listen. You're listening into our conversation. We're in, we want you guys to stop by and check in and have a good time. You're sitting on our conversation. And some of you are sitting in for 30 minutes of this conversation. So just imagine how many times in your life do you actually participate in a long form engagement of a conversation. I love my mom. I do not have, I unfortunately don't talk to my mom. I talk to Rian more than I talk to my mom every week. So if you say that only 10 people listen to my podcast, you have to take into account how great that is. 10 people listen to you speak, and maybe intelligently, or maybe you made them laugh. Just imagine in your life, regardless of what job you are, whatever walk of life, you sat and you spoke, and 10 people were there in front of you listening to you speak. It's actually kind of rare. Let's say that you were pitching someone on, let's say you're a salesperson and you're pitching them on why they should buy this vacuum cleaner. If you're talking to 10 people, that's actually a lot.
Yeah.
And if we were in an audition room, very rarely we're going in person anymore. If you're in an audition room and you say 10 people in front of you and you're acting in front of them, 10 people is actually a lot.
It is.
I have been in those rooms. I had 15 people on 2 small couches regularly. Every time I went to callbacks for this TV show, 15 people on 2 small couches. So let's not lose sight of 10 real people are listening to your podcast for maybe 20 minutes. And that's the power of engagement and this platform.
Hey friends, if you like that clip, click here to watch the full episode in its entirety. Come on. You know you want to.